I will say my role, though, is fun aunt. I am the one who's going to spoil them, take my older nieces for pedicures, manicures. I really want to buy them all the toys and buy my way into their hearts. I am there for fun.
Well, hey friends, welcome to this week's episode of the Boundless Show. This is Lisa Anderson here with you, and here we are for our roundtable. Speaking of special holidays and all the things, we're going to talk about National Aunt and Uncle Day. First of all, I guess we should clarify, do we need to say National Aunt and Uncle Day, or do we say Aunt?
Absolutely,
okay.
Aunt is easier.
We're saying, okay, we're going to say Aunt, National Aunt and Uncle Day. And so to have this conversation about what it means to be a great, and I'm going to say killer, aunt and uncle, or maybe you had great aunts and uncles. That's cool too. We have got Bree here, we have Kasie here, and we have Jonathan here. So welcome, y'all.
Hey. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
Hey, good to have you. Okay, so because this is the thing, and I also am an aunt, and I feel like I'm a pretty good one most of the time, but let's just talk about first what we're dealing with here. So let's start with you, Kasie. How many nieces and nephews do you have? And I guess maybe how long have you been an aunt then? This is going to be a math?
I got to do some calculations.
Okay.
I have 9 total nieces and nephews. I honestly can't do the breakdown right now of each.
This is because you have a lot of siblings.
I do. I have 7 siblings.
Okay.
And out of that, only 3 of my siblings have kids. So there's an infinite number of available
possible slots
nieces and
left.
nephews.
Yeah.
Yes. But the oldest is 24.
Wow.
And then my youngest is 2, but my sister's also pregnant, so, that's the youngest probably. And I will say my oldest nephew has, they are pregnant with their second. So technically I'm a great aunt.
Yeah.
And in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's cool. That's awesome. Jonathan, how about you? How many nieces and nephews?
Well, I have 18
Wow.
nieces and nephews.
Okay, you have me.
Now we're like one-upping one another. Okay, that's good. 18, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And what age ranges?
I have a nephew that's older than me.
Wow.
So I've been an uncle since I was born.
Okay.
Wow.
That's crazy. And then I'm assuming one might be a baby, or do you have?
Yeah, we have a couple newborns.
Okay.
One was just born about 5 months ago.
Okay. And how many siblings do you have?
I have 6 older siblings.
Okay. No wonder you're in uncledom. Okay. Bree?
Yeah, I am the baby of 5, and so similar situation. I have 10 nieces and nephews ranging from 18 to 4. I think I became an aunt. I was trying to do the math in my head. I think I was 14 when she was born.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I am the youngest of 6, so I have nieces and nephews. Not quite where Jonathan is, but my oldest niece, I was only about 5 when she was born. So, all my nieces and nephews are young adults at this point, and I too have 2 great nieces and a great nephew, and so that's kind of fun as well. And I feel like I'm the best aunt as well.
Probably.
So,
I'm sure that's true.
I feel like it's just so true. So, okay. So let's talk about what your role is. What do you feel you really excel at in being an aunt or uncle? What do you like most about it? Are there any challenges? I mean, are we talking about long distance things here, or are they all kind of in your space, like some family communal situation? I don't know. But kind of what's the lay of the land as far as you relating to them on the regular or not?
Well, I have a mix. Well, actually, they're all long distance. I don't know why I said there was a mix. They're all out of state.
The distance differs, I guess.
Yes,
yeah.
Some are harder to get to.
Okay.
Because they're in Georgia, and I don't want to go to Georgia. And
sorry, Georgian listeners.
Sorry,
That's
Georgia.
Kasie. She can write to her directly. Okay.
I think Georgia's great. I just went in September, which is not a great time to go.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah. Okay.
But then I have some that are in Omaha, Nebraska, which is just an 8-hour drive, so it makes a difference, right? And I will say my role, though, is fun aunt. I am the one who's going to spoil them, take my older nieces for pedicures, manicures. They want to be like me when they grow up, so I embrace that fully.
That's great. Wow.
And then for the younger ones, I'm just that one I really want to buy them all the toys and buy my way into their hearts. And we'll see how that develops later on. But I think that's my role right now. It's not the enforcer of anything crazy, disciplinary. Okay. No, I am there for fun. So that's my role.
Nice.
That's perfect. Okay, Jonathan, how about you?
Most of my nieces and nephews are kind of spread between here and Texas.
Okay.
I would classify myself as a fun uncle for sure. I'm always sneaking dollar bills in my nieces and nephews' pockets and making sure that they can spoil themselves. Of course, never with parental consent. I just give them money, try to buy them.
I
into
feel
my
like you
big
may be
races.
my uncle. I don't know if that's worked out. This could be. I mean, I've got
You could just
pockets
slip
in
some
these.
money into my
Yeah,
pocket.
exactly. Yeah.
But,
I take gift cards too. FYI. Yeah. No, but that's great. But okay, cool. So you get to see them pretty regularly.
Yeah, I see one of my nephews, Peter, all the time, and I'm always trying to find new ways to play with him. And he's big with board games and stuff like that right now, even though he's pretty young.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
That's cool. Yeah, mine currently are all long distance except for one, because one is brand new, and he's 4 months old, and he's like on my husband's side. So I'm the aunt, I'm still an aunt of that child through marriage.
Yes.
And so he's in town, and so I get to see him periodically. But with my long distance ones, considering that, I mean, you're just better than me, Kasie, just flat out. But having been an aunt since I was like 14, I just didn't really understand the role of an aunt or like what I could do. And I definitely have goals of improvement here. Like I would love to send them money long distance, like or gifts or something. But something that I did recently that I really loved was I had 4 of my nieces come in for Christmas, and I took the 2 older girls out, and we like went and played mini golf, and then we went to Claire's and got some jewelry and stuff and got a pretzel at the mall, because people still go to malls these days. Not really, but we did. And that was a lot of fun, and that felt like, oh, this is the kind of aunt I want to be. And so I would label, I'm not that aunt currently. I mean, I did that one time, but I have goals. I want to be like Kasie.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard when they're long distance. So it is very rare, right? And so I was not always this way. I have learned how to be a good aunt. But when I was 8 when I had my first nephew, right? And so I was like, they're just a kid. I don't care about more kids.
Right.
I have plenty of siblings. So I had to learn what it looked like. So for sure.
Yeah.
It's a growing process.
I would say like there's a little bit of a comparison game with me and my current roommate, who's just like, she's probably like a Kasie of just, can she not come up with just amazing ideas of things to do and whatever? And the fact is they're all like super cheap or cost effective. Like she's just crazy. Like she just went out to the East Coast to visit 3 nephews out there. And she did this thing called Auntie's Auction, where she just brought all these like freebies that she's accumulated from different like trade shows or just giveaways of different things. And then she gives the kids like Monopoly money, and they have to bid on this whole thing, and then they can trade. And
That's
it's
so fun.
She makes it into a whole competition and stuff. And I'm like, I would never come up with that. And she was always very good when they were living here about doing individual time with them and taking them to do something. And it would never, rarely cost anything, but it was time spent with them. And I just thought that was always such a great example of things. I will say the only way, maybe this is one way that I differ from all y'all, is that because of the ages of my now nieces and nephews, I have definitely moved into the territory of doing some listening ear crisis management stuff for them, because as they are all young adults, they're all dealing with life stuff. So whether it's been parent stuff or dating stuff or dramas or just frustrations and all of that, I definitely fill that role. I also fill the role of general social media stalker, because none of my siblings are capable of navigating barely they can do, I mean, they can do Facebook, but just inappropriately. And then Instagram and all the other things they have no knowledge of. So I'm the one that's like finding the Finstas
You're the
and
hip
doing all
aunt, the cool
Yeah, I guess
aunt.
so.
You're with
I mean,
the
and that's not
times.
saying a ton, you guys. That's not saying a ton, but it is something, it's a role that I have to
They're
fill.
like, can we give you our snap?
Yeah, totally.
I say yeah.
Right, exactly.
What's your handle?
They're like,
What,
oh yeah, here
like
comes
for my
Lisa
car?
with the mouse ears. No. So I think that's cool though. But let's talk about, like, as you think of this, and a couple of you have mentioned like, oh, I wish I could be this, or it's a big role, or it's something I take seriously. What do you see? I mean, even all of us, as we think of young adult ministry and Boundless and what we've done, what do you see as some of the things that you're like, I really hope this for them, or I really want to be, if I need to caution them against this, or I would like to instruct them in this, or be a good example of this, what would you say some of those things would be? When you're done with the pedicures, Kasie, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say I really want to be what you were saying, Lisa, a listening ear for them to be able to say whatever they needed to say that maybe they can't share with their parents, because we all know there are some things you don't want to share with your parents just because you feel that they'll parent you, which is valid.
Yeah.
But just being able to be a voice of reason in their lives. And also that person that if they find themselves in a hard situation where they're out late at night and they need a ride somewhere and they don't want to wake up their parents, then I could be that person for them. It is harder not being in the same state, but that is my goal, that I'm a safe person for them.
Yeah.
And yes, that I'm a friend, but also that I'm someone that they respect and they look up to, and just that I'm not always telling them how they should live, but also being the example of what it could look like in a safe way.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so one of my goals is, or something that I do try to do really regularly, is just pray for their salvation. It's not necessarily that they aren't saved, but it's just something that I'm praying for. It's just that their walk with Jesus would be secure, and similar to Kasie, just like setting that example of, okay, hey, this is what it looks like to walk with Jesus. And I mean, just like you were saying, sometimes it's easier to talk to somebody who isn't your parent but is adjacent. And I think, like, I want to be a safe place. I want them to come to me with conversations, and I also want them to just be like silly and recognize, like, this is just, she's like barely a grown up, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know,
Forever 30.
yeah, exactly. Me and Lisa, forever 30.
Yeah. Totally. So.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one of my goals, is just to be that kind of role model in the faith. And then, also provide some maybe understanding. So like, since I'm a parent myself, I can help them try to understand what their parents are communicating to them, of like, hey, I'm your aunt, but I can help you understand why your parents gave you that rule, or why they gave you this kind of discipline. Like, let me explain it to you, because they might listen to me a little bit more than their parents. So
Yeah, that's great. Jonathan, how about you? How do you try to influence them through relationship?
I think the Jesus factor is a big one. What I've been really seeing in my nephews and nieces recently is a lot of excitement for the Lord, and kids so young, it's really inspiring and exciting. I have a niece and a nephew that come to mind who are just on fire for Jesus for how young they are. I mean, my nephew, being only 3 years old, he plays with his toys, and he'll say all the bad guys became Christians and know Jesus now. So
That's amazing.
So it's just wonderful. Little things like that get me really excited, and I really want to make sure they know that it's okay to be open about their love of Christ. And another thing as well is being okay to make mistakes. I think we live in a world right now where there's a lot of pressure. Really, the only thing we should be feeling any pressure about is just praising God in all things. But yeah, I think that's about all I got.
No, that's great.
Just lightening that pressure on their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you guys are saying this, it just reminds me of some of the conversations I've had where, I've really had to kind of circle back around and say, okay, this might be the, an experience that you grew up with or something, or this might be a relationship or a struggle you're having at school or whatever, but then kind of bringing the gospel back around to that and using it as a teaching moment, and also using some of my own experiences to say, hey, here's what I went through and here's what I would recommend, and having the opportunity to pray with them and for them is really good. Bree, you brought up the whole idea of negotiating or representing maybe some of the parenting tactics of your siblings or in-laws or whatever. Where do any of you all, because I'm going to tell you 100% that I do this all the time, do you ever feel pressured to kind of maybe give some advice to your siblings on what's going on with kids, or you want to step in or be like, if this were me to do, I probably wouldn't do it this way? Or, sometimes I think we can get a little bit judgy in that sense. I know one of my sisters has boys who had just terrible sibling rivalry. 3 boys, they were all super close in age. And she'll admit this now, that she and her husband really struggled with being on the same page in parenting. So it was like one was yelling at one, the other one was yelling at the other. They were kind of like telling each of them different things or different ultimatums, and they kind of had to get on their game, And so I was always like, can't you guys just get it together? Like, I mean, if I were doing this, I would, whatever.
It's
and
so
of course,
simple.
I know it's so simple in my own head, but I don't know. Where do you guys feel like you struggle maybe with wanting to speak up or butt in?
I definitely think I want to speak up. However, I don't, because I am the youngest and nobody would listen to me anyways. At least that's how I feel. And I also they have more years of parenting on me than I myself have. I'm a 5-year-old parent. And so maybe I actually don't know what I'm talking about, but I try. I also think I can improve a lot of situations just as a human. So I just try to improve everybody's lives. But kids are they're tough. So I don't know. I definitely judge them in my head. So admitting that, confessing that, so you guys can hold me accountable. And, but yeah, I don't know that I necessarily feel like I can bring it up to them, or I'm like, hey, have you considered this? Or I've tried this with my kid. Have you tried this?
Well, isn't it crazy? Because you see, if you see continuous tantrums or something, or just behavior, that it's easy to think, not walking in their shoes, that surely there's got to be a way to quote unquote solve this, or to do that, but I know Bree knows this because she's straight in and just out of the toddler phases. And it's kind of like, maybe not the best time to weigh in on that, because you think that you're doing all the things. And sometimes it's just
or sometimes I just want to give them my kid and I'm like, here you go. Good luck.
Good. Take a stab at it yourself. So I don't know. How about you two?
Yeah, I was thinking about this as you were talking, Bree, and as someone who has never had kids, I have the best advice about raising children.
I'm sure.
Especially adult
You and Lisa
children.
both.
Totally.
She says it all the time.
Yeah. Yep.
But actually, I really think with my older nieces and nephews, I actually share a lot of characteristics with some of my nieces and have walked some of the same journeys, even in faith, and kind of doubting and walking away from faith, but then coming back. And so it's funny because my sister actually asked me, well, what did you do? And so it actually twists it, and she's almost expecting me to have the answers. And that's where I kind of say, I'm not her. I'm not going to fix her. So it's almost like they're thinking of me as if I'm their child and saying, well, what worked for you will work for them. And I have to kind of walk through that of, this was my experience and how I needed to hit rock bottom, and Jesus had to pull me back. So there's not much you can do. And so in my own way of giving advice, that's the advice I can give, is there's not much you can do once they're adults.
Yeah.
They have to be able to choose that for themselves. So with some siblings who might be a little more wanting to have control, I'm kind of that different perspective of, maybe you can't have as much control as you want. And so that's my great advice for not having kids.
Yeah, tell them, hit rock bottom, find Jesus.
Yeah. I'm like, well, maybe if you get them there faster, maybe cut them off.
Yeah. There you go.
Cut them off. Good advice, Kasie.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Homelessness does draw you towards the Lord, much more so than...
Don't knock until you try.
Now we're all questioning your advice, Kasie. That's not just your parenting advice. It could be around full circle here. So Oh my goodness.
Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan, you
I
better.
feel like you have it together.
Yeah. He has all
You have
kinds
the
of
most.
advice for his nieces
yeah.
and nephews. Yeah.
True.
I'd say I don't really put a lot of input in. I think what it boils down to is just prayer for my siblings to have wisdom and being there for their nieces and nephews in any capacity I can be. Not to say there's not times where I want to. I think there's kind of when we're looking outside, looking in, it's a lot harder for us to see the whys and why nots to why a parent may or may not do a certain thing a certain way. I've discussed this a lot with my brother about the way he parents is pretty different than the way my parents parent. But both of them have their kind of drawbacks and their benefits. And so it's hard from the, third person perspective to really see what's in store, I guess. But I think that's about what I would say is just praying for them. And if, your sibling ever to come to you with advice, always turn to God's word. That's the ultimate manual of how to raise children and how to raise disciples. So that's where I always go.
Yeah.
I
See,
do
you're
wish
so
the
good.
Bible
So
taught me how to potty train, though. That's what I need.
That's
I
in
remember
the.
reading something about
I
that.
think that's in the Apocrypha. Brie, you got it. That's different. Okay, so as we finish here, just everyone give some bit of advice for those who might be listening who are like, yeah, I'm a new aunt or uncle, or maybe I have nieces and nephews who are a little older. I've just never even thought of this. I've never really done the thing.
Yes.
What is,
I
what's
have
something,
opinions.
what's something that they can do to kind of start forging a relationship, or maybe like easy entry, or just a way to even approach it as far as like without being pushy or weird or telling, their own siblings like, hey, let me take over your children so I can do it better or whatever. But just to kind of start having a great relationship that is fruitful.
Well, honestly, I would say babysit. Like that is a huge blessing to your siblings or your in-laws who have had a baby. And obviously, whenever they are willing to have their kid be babysat. But aunts and uncles are the best babysitters because they actually love the kid, hopefully. And I don't know, it's a big blessing for the parents because it's one of those cases where you don't have to pay someone. That's family. And it's just a great sacrifice on their part, but it's also a kindness to the parents. And then also you get the benefit of having time with your nieces and nephews, like one-on-one or one-on-two or however many there are. And I think that's the best way to form relationships is just by having time with them. Like my sister-in-law is an incredible aunt to my kids because she spends time with them. And she has been able to call to mind for me just like special things that she sees about my kids that I haven't been able to see. And she's like, oh, have you noticed how your daughter does this? And I'm like, oh man, that's amazing. I'm so glad that you pointed that out to me. And so, yeah, I think that's a great way to both build relationships with your nieces and nephews and then also bless your siblings.
That's great.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
I guess I'll go first. I'd say like the biggest thing is just investing the time and really pouring into them. I think that speaking from experience, I can get distracted with my siblings. One of my brother-in-laws is also my best friend. So it's easy to want to go play board games with him rather than spend time with his wonderful sons. And so I think investing that time and really pouring into them in any way you can. I really want to be setting a very high standard as far as a prayer culture revolving around family, nieces and nephews, and and just wishing the best for them. Like you were saying earlier about wishing for their salvation and just praying that they'll never be led astray and lied to. And that's all we can do is just give them to God and invest as much time as we can.
Yeah, that's great.
We could end it there. That was so good. No, my advice, because I think I have more experience with older nieces and nephews and having to build relationships with them after not having relationship, where to me it's a dual process of trying to reinvest into my siblings' lives and the family. So I'm embedding myself in their family life and just trying to live life with them, like you were saying, Jonathan, of the time that you're willing to invest. But also, I wish I had texted my nieces and nephews more. I actually do wish I had engaged them more on their terms and just reached out to them more and said, I am praying for you. I'm thinking of you. And really open that door. versus relying on visits, which are few and far between. I wish I'd been more intentional with that. And I'm trying to do that now more retroactively of how do I build this relationship with you and be there for you now and go visit you more intentionally and more often because you're not in Colorado. And yeah, so I think there's that piece of how do I focus on all the relationships involved and not just even the nieces and nephews, but the whole family and having the alone time with them, but also having the family time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, as I think through it, and I think this is where maybe those of us who are single might have a little bit of an edge just because of the, not having divided time with our own families and stuff like that. When my nieces and nephews were younger, I definitely leaned into more the babysitting stuff. In fact, two of my nieces are nearby. They're in Denver, and I used to go and stay with them for a long weekend while my brother and sister-in-law would get away. And so it was my opportunity to be with them. And we were just reminiscing the other day about them having their multitudinous beanie babies, and they would line them up like all across the house, like in a train kind of thing, and then they would just move them around, and then we would play Barbies. And I remember playing Barbies as a kid, and I'm like, what am I doing with this Barbie beyond changing an outfit? I don't even know. But it's just fun now with them as adults to reflect on that. And then I think later in life, it's been much more about just checking in and texting and being, or that mid-range, like showing up at events, like whether it's the baseball game. And I mean, how many nephews I have watched lying in the grass in the outfield, not even playing the game and just staring at the
Doing
sky.
it so well.
And it's so boring and I hate baseball now as a result. But anyway, all the things and being there and but they remember that I showed up and they remember that I was there. And again, now just making those little touch points of, hey, I hope you're having a great day, or this made me think of you, I think is really meaningful as well. So, well, hopefully that'll give folks some inspiration to kind of move forward. Because again, we're all called to relationship, and this is a great opportunity for us to pour into others in both a relational, a family way, and a mentory way. So thanks, you guys, for your great thoughts.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course.